you guys doing today? You know what I did? I fell down the proverbial rabbit hole. I apologize for that. Usually by the time I put my introduction up and I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go. And today I got sidetracked. So for those of you that have been here for quite a while and you've just been talking and visiting, I apologize, but thank you. Y'all are awesome. Okay, so here we are. This allegedly innocent. It is, what is today? Saturday, January 21st, 2023, I think. All right. I was a little bit disappointed today because I was supposed to go live with Crime Sleuthin' and it fell through. And I hope that, everything is okay for Crime Sleuthin', and maybe we can get together a little bit later on today or perhaps tonight. So let me say hello to everybody that is here. You know what today is? Today is just a chit chat day. It's a Chatterling. We haven't had a Chatterling in quite some time. And so what we're going to do today, of course, the minute I go live, my door starts dinging. It's uncontrollable. Okay. So, hello, DB. Welcome. How are you? Hi, David 4. Let's see what David says. Hey, I just found your channel because I am considering Showalter as directly involved again, and I surely appreciate your videos. Thank you for the information and the perspective. David 4, that is actually surprising to me. So, I'm going to guess that somehow you believe perhaps Showalter and Kohberger know one another. And if that is what you're suggesting, would you like to come up on panel and maybe let's talk about it? Hey, Diamond, how are you doing, girlie? Hey, Lisa Williamson, Yvette, good morning. Well, it's actually good afternoon. Yvette, big ups. How's your jacket, ups? Are you loving your $1 million jacket? Hi, Chris Ann Belknap. Welcome. Kathy R. No, the time is not moved. On my computer, it says 7:30 p.m. No. Different topic. I don't think the live streaming with chat would be operational if Jules was not intending to be here. Just my 2 cents. And you were actually correct, DB. As I said, I fell down a rabbit hole. I was looking at ski videos. So I apologize. It just went right out my window. I know I'm a bonehead. I'm sorry. Georgie girl. Hey there, Georgie girl. There's another Georgie deep inside. I don't remember the whole song. Let's see. Elizabeth Gregory, welcome. Good to see you. Day tripper, one way ticket, yeah. Beatles, right? Let's see. Maybe she's waiting till the chat. No, I wasn't. I was literally looking at skiing videos. Hi, Diane. Welcome, my friend. How are you? Looky here. We have the longest name, officially, the longest name on YouTube. That would be Crystal, a.k.a. Beaver Gaming, sub Crystal. I love it, Crystal. All right. You're a complicated gal. Hi, Hybrid Pisces. Welcome. Hey, Tennessee. Good to have you. AJ, my friend. How you doing? Okay. Pam Frenchman, welcome. Gearhead is here. Coffee and conversation. Welcome. Critters. Pink hand waving back. Sky's videos is a much healthier rabbit hole than I usually fall down. Well, some of these rabbit holes can be a little terrifying, correct? Hey, Fancy Nancy. All right. Nana of 2, welcome. Okay, so I guess that the Showalter dude, where did the Showalter dude go? I guess David thought I wasn't going to be here, so he left. Okay, so David, if you're still here, you want to talk about this whole Showalter thing, then let me know and we'll, do a panel. Hey, Celestial, welcome. My favorite tea in the whole wide world is Celestial Seasonings Sleepy Time. It's a chamomile tea. It's just delightful. All right, now then, if the real Jules will show up. Okay. So, the gag order for Bryan Kohberger. Well, usually a judge doesn't have to say it twice. You know what I mean? Like usually a judge will issue an order and then people will say, oh goodness, the judge has spoken and we should listen. And in this case, that didn't exactly happen, did it? The judge spoke. In fact, the judge spoke before Bryan ever arrived in Washington. Or is he in Idaho? Is he jailed in Idaho or is he jailed in Washington? That's one of those little tiny details. I know so much about the case, and that's one of the little details I don't know. I guess he is in Idaho, correct? Some rabbit holes turn out to be warm and fuzzy. Okay, I like the outer space kind of rabbit holes too, though, stuffed banana. So, I hope you're not here to troll, although if you are, at least it won't be a boring live. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put up a link if you would like to come up on panel and give your opinion about the whole Bryan Kohberger gag order, multiple gag orders, plural. Who were they for? Who was the intended target of the second gag order? What do y'all think? Put your opinion into the chat. What do you think, or for whom was the second gag order? Like the judge pretty much said, hey, if you didn't hear me the first time, bucko, let me say it again. If you're officially attached to this case, be quiet. Waiting for answers. Waiting. All right. My favorite. Oh, wait. Wrong one. No, we already did that one. Elizabeth Gregory, his lawyer from PA. In fact, Crime Sleuthin said that, he hasn't met a camera he doesn't like. He's fairly chatty, isn't he? Now, Pet Nanny Nancy, I'm not sure that the attorney from Pennsylvania is still on the case. Although that may not be exactly right either, because I do remember one of the videos that I watched said that he was still employed in a not unofficial capacity. Is that right? Maybe Chronicles of Olivia. Ooh, now see, Backwoods Georgia Girl, you're bringing up a topic that part of what I wanted to talk about. I received a comment that was left under one of my Bryan Kohberger videos. And the topic, or the comment that was made, was, you YouTubers better stop talking about Bryan Kohberger. You're going to give the prosecution ammunition you're going to give the defense ammunition to beat the prosecution. You're going to get him, your videos, your conjecture, your speculation, your ideas, your theories are going to give the defense attorney ideas, and you'll be responsible for having gotten Bryan Kohberger off from a quadruple murder charge. Now, for those of you that saw that little nugget of wisdom, then you also saw my equally insightful response and mature response And basically, my response to this person ordering me to quit talking about Bryan Kohberger because I was aiding and abetting the defense attorneys. My insightful and mature response was something like this. Yes, I laughed a lot. Why? Why did I laugh? Well, I'll tell you why I laughed. I laughed because a courtroom is not exactly the same thing as the court of public opinion. And it is absolutely not likely that a judge is going to even give a damn about the court of public opinion. In fact, these conversations that you and I are having on the streets of YouTube about these various crimes that are committed and then the alleged, perpetrators, these are conversations that have been happening since the beginning of time. When Ugg the caveman was found dead with 2 lacerations in his head and a very large rock beside his head, then we and Juju and Columbia and all the other cave people sat around the fire going, yeah, well, you know what? I think old Mix Nix did it. Mix Nix must have done it because I saw Mix Nix walking around with a rocket just about that size. Well, I don't think it was Mix Nix. I think it was Ogie Pagogi who did it. Ogie Pagogi did it because I hear that Ogie Pagogi and Ugg were, doing the dirty, right? On the down low. I think that's who did it. No. I can tell you who did it. It was all just a big misunderstanding. Bobo was just playing a little gag on Ugg. And Bobo thought it would be just such great fun to push him backwards across the big rock. And sadly, he hit his head and died. And the rock lying next to his head had nothing to do with the demise of Ugg. So these are conversations that people, human beings, have been having since the beginning of time. It is not likely that you're going to stop these conversations from happening. Lord knows the Ruchek family went to extreme lengths. I mean, they hired attorneys. They did these kind of like public information, commercials saying, stop talking about our family, stop talking about this crime. And all it did was to fuel more discussion, because that's kind of what we are. We're just this chattering group of people that talk about the unusual, the unexpected, or the extraordinary. It's human nature. It's what we do, right? All right. Nana of 2 sadly doesn't know the difference. Who doesn't know the difference, Nano, by 2? Thanks for the reminder. Someone had a crush on Pebbles. Yeah, see, and that is actually a great comment, Kathy R. Someone had a crush on Pebbles, and that is why Ugg had to die, correct? Well, would it be surprising for you to know that the very moment you fall into infidelity, the very minute you become a partner in infidelity, you are at a 7 times increased likelihood of dying. Did y'all know that? Infidelity, it turns out, is actually a condition that puts you into a line of danger. Why? Because people get betrayed. And when people are betrayed, they're not happy. Emotion fuels action. Emotion is like gasoline. It doesn't matter if it's good emotion or bad emotion. Emotion, I mean, have you ever thought about the word emote? It's to show action, right? It's to show emotion that results in something. So yeah, so the joke about, Ugg had to die because someone had a crush on Pebbles is actually very close to the truth, and it is a phenomenon that is alive and well today. I mean, isn't that what all of us sort of decided with the disappearance of Suzanne Morphew? Yes, there were plenty of people that were screeching and screaming, domestic violence, string up Barry, he did it. Correct? But then what happened when it came out that she was actually the one that was involved in a long-term affair? The worm turned, so to speak. People kind of took a step back and went, oh, maybe she is not deserving of all of our passion, that she is, a person who's been violated by the nasty male persuasion. Now, maybe some people were even thinking, well, maybe she shouldn't have been behaving that way. But I'm going to tell you something. A motive for murder is not something that is required in a court of law. Why? Because it doesn't matter. The law says, do not kill. That's what the law says. It doesn't say, well, you can kill in this situation, but you're not allowed to kill in that situation. Correct? Killing is killing. Doesn't matter why you did it. It doesn't matter if you did it because you just don't want to be a mother anymore and you want to run off with your king of the world and live in Hawaii and pretend to be something you're not and take trips in portals. It doesn't matter if you've got a bit of, personality disorder and you think that you have the right to kill someone because it's not convenient any longer with your lifestyle. It doesn't matter if you decide it's okay to kill because your religion or your heritage says that, an honor killing is perfectly acceptable. And it doesn't matter if you kill because you are filled with rage and betrayal and you impulsively strike the person that has betrayed you. None of that matters in a court of law. Killing is killing, period. Bryan Kohberger is accused of killing 4 times. And I suspect that he's killed more than that. I don't think that this is the one time. I don't think this was a one and done and he got caught. No. I think he's done this before. He's got a history where people called him mean. He's got a history where he was extremely bullied himself. He went to great lengths to reduce the likelihood of being bullied again by losing, 150 pounds or something, and developed what is almost like a compulsion with the negative impact of food. I suspect if you were to ever sit down and have a conversation with Bryan Kohberger, you might find out that he has a sincere hate relationship with food. So 4 times, right? Maddie, Xana, Kaylee, and Ethan. 4 different times. What if each murder had a different motive? What if the creepazoid factor was stalking Maddie Mogan? That was the intended target. Kaylee wasn't supposed to even be there. So he goes in to do what he wanted to do with Maddie. But then what happens? The dog starts barking and Kaylee goes, wow, what's going on with the dog, Murphy? What's happening? And so she opens the door to look out, and there she sees him. And that's when she screams, y'all wake up, someone's here. loud, right? They picked it up on a camera that was 50 feet away or 50 yards away. No, I think it was 50 feet away, wasn't it? And he grabs her, drags her into the room, and now he's mad. It wasn't just I'm going to plan the perfect crime. I'm going to do this weird, sicko, creepy thing. I'm going to make this girl pay for ignoring me, and she's going to become the archetype for every female that ever had the audacity to ignore the great and powerful Bryan Kohberger. And so it was done with surgical precision, almost like it was an act of intercourse. But Kaylee was different. He's angry with Kaylee. He's furious with Kaylee. In fact, one of those online accounts that do seem to have been him describes the setting, the situation, and says that he grabs her. She's running. He grabs her, ends her life, and he's very angry with her. He is very angry with her. She disturbed the perfect crime. And when he finishes killing her, he tosses her on top of the bed, according to this online post. And then he has to get out of the house. He has to get out of the house because his plan was thwarted. And as he comes down the stairs, Ethan is now sticking his head out going, what is going on in this house? So I think, it could ultimately end up being that you had one intended target and the other three were all collateral, which would explain why their manners of death were so different. I also suspect that the Uber Eats, the food that was delivered at 4:00 in the morning, that may have been him calling in that order. That he may have been the one that did that to cause a distraction at the front door. And then he sneaks in the door in the back and leaves it open so he can get out. Maybe. We saw the bag. We saw the Uber Eats bag, but it looks like to me that maybe, it still has stuff in it. Maybe she never ate it. Maybe they opened the door and said, what? No, what? Okay, I'll take it. Oh, it's paid for? Okay, great. Now she's got the food. Now she gets on her TikTok because she's settling in to eat whatever it was that just got ordered. So by the time she goes downstairs to answer the door to this random 4 a.m. food delivery, he's snuck in the back and he's already upstairs before she ever comes back up to the living room. See what I mean? So it doesn't make any difference, according to the law, the court, doesn't make any difference why these 4 people died. It's just the golden rule. Thou shalt not kill. Period, Bryan. There's no defense, Bryan. There's no defense for the one that you planned and plotted and tracked and hunted. The defense for Maddie, if that's the case, allegedly, the defense for Maddie's death, it isn't different than, then I had to kill Ethan because, he was standing in between me and the door. And so I had to get out. So that death wasn't as bad as what I actually did to Maddie. So it doesn't matter. It does not matter. Okay? Thou shalt not kill, period. Correct? All right. Now then, let's see. William says they dug into everyone's past. Xana's mom, Kara Canodal, arrested for trafficking heroin and meth along with drug possession, was bailed out. Don't believe me? Look it up. This is getting crazy. The evidence shows he was not in the house when the DoorDash was delivered, though. DoorDash delivered at 4 a.m. Bryan did not park until, 4:06. He could not have misled using his phone to call it in. Oh, he could not have risked using his phone. Okay. You cannot pay cash for a DoorDash order from your phone. Okay, so everybody, burner phones are a thing, right? I mean, that's, people have burner phones. People have Visa cards or food cards that you can get from Walmart or whatever. But that's not my point. My point, I'm not debating how he did it. That seems a bit like an exercise in futility to me. There's only one person alive that knows what happened that night. There's only one person alive that understands what the nuances of the evening were, and that is Bryan. And he is not talking. He won't even tell his defense attorney about how he got in and out. He's going to make the case he wasn't there at all. Correct? So the reason that I bring this up, the reason I bring up the potential nuances or possibilities is because I'm making a point. I'm making a point that the rule is thou shalt not kill. The rule is not, well, it's okay if you kill under these circumstances, but you can't kill under these circumstances. So it doesn't make any difference. The 4 died, and he will ultimately, have to answer to his accusers. Now then, this message that I got saying, "Ooh, y'all got to quit talking about it because you're gonna help the defense, and the defense is gonna hear one of your speculations or one of your theories or one of your explanations, and they're gonna use that in the defense of Bryan Kohberger." Kind of silly, correct? It's a bit of a silly notion to think that people that are online having these reciprocal communications about, well, I think this could have happened. Oh yeah, but what about this? You can't pay cash for an order. Then he'd have to give a card, and then if he gave a card, it would have his name. And why would he risk using his phone? This is reciprocal communication. One person puts out an idea, and then the other people that hear that idea, then they give their information, their idea. It's reciprocal communication. We're feeding off of each other, and we're feeding to one another. Correct? That's what human beings do. But the people that are running around, of course, the people that believe that they're so much smarter than everybody else, they think they're so much more virtuous than other people. They're running around telling creators, "Ooh, quit talking about it. You can't talk about this case anymore. You're a bad person. Ooh, don't you know they said," well, I know they said that, but do you understand I'm not an officer of the court? Do you understand that I have absolutely no access at all to privileged information? I know nothing. All I'm doing is giving an opinion, and you guys are answering back with your opinions. So no, this is not going to create a situation where we're going to somehow do something that is going to result in a mistrial or even, Bryan being found not guilty. That's not gonna happen because the court doesn't care what we talk about. The court has no illusions. They understand completely. You're not going to stop millions of people from discussing a case. They're going to do it because it is our human nature to talk about things that are unexpected or out of the unusual or extraordinary human beings discuss things like that. We don't want to discuss the mundane, people that are content to sit around and just have these mundane conversations, boring about everyday things. Maybe these are people that live very sheltered, limited, and mundane lives. I don't know. But if you're a person and you enjoy mystery, you watch dramas, you like the unusual, then you will get attracted to some of these very extraordinary legal showdowns, correct? I'm just zoomed out and looking at this from an unbiased jury standpoint. Nobody can yell, what? Nobody can yell me. Nobody can tell me what concrete solid evidence has been presented. The gag order is out to protect the integrity of the case. There you go, William. That's the whole point of these gag orders, is so that the thing that you guys are doing your, sad little virtue signaling act, you guys that are running around to creators going, don't talk about it. Quit talking about it. You have to quit talking about it. Stop. You're so stupid. Jennifer Coffindaffer is stupid. No, actually, Jennifer Coffindaffer is not stupid. She's absolutely accomplished and had a stellar career. And her opinion has merit when we're talking about investigations in law. But if you're one of those people going, Jennifer Coffindaffer, stupid. Stupid, don't talk about the case. What you're doing is you're showing your own level of ignorance. So maybe it makes you feel good to go around to other channels and say, quit talking about the case. There's a gag order. That means you're not allowed to talk about it. You don't understand what is going on. You're operating, either from a place of ignorance, or you're operating from a belief where you feel empowered to be the most virtuous person in the room, correct? All right. So this thing with this case with Bryan, we now have 2 orders from the court saying, hush, if you're affiliated with this case in any way, officially, be quiet. Don't talk about this. And the first go round was attorneys, don't talk about it. Detectives, don't talk about it. Right? And you would think, okay, that's enough to stop the flow of information. But then we kept getting information. And one of those people that we were getting information from was the attorney that was in Pennsylvania. But the only reach that he had, the only reason for him to be a part of this case was to get Bryan transferred from Pennsylvania to Idaho, right? So maybe he assumed, they're not talking to me. I'm no longer really associated with this case. And he was doing lots of interviews. I don't think he said anything of consequence. He said that Bryan is smart. He said that was evident when you would talk to Bryan, that he was very intelligent. He said he never asked Bryan about the events of that night. He never asked Bryan information about the charges, that he limited his interactions with Bryan to strictly the extradition issues, right? So the second gag order now has come back and has said what? Okay, even you, if you've ever been affiliated, if you've ever been an attorney who for any reason had anything to do with Bryan Kohberger or his family or these victims, hush. If you are an attorney for the families of the victims, be quiet. So the second gag order was quite expansive. Would you agree? All right. And yes, The media can talk about it, and they will talk about it because that is what their job is. That the media do report news. That is the truth. All right. So he did give Bryan's state of mind, who is clear and concise. Well, okay, so very perfect example, Nan of two. Exactly. Here you have a licensed attorney who is accustomed to working with people that have been accused of violent crime, and he's now on record as saying, "Oh yeah, he was totally well-oriented, person, place, situation, time. He knew exactly what. Yeah, really intelligent, clear thinker. He knew what was going on." That kind of takes away from him his ability to say, "Oh no, Judge, I didn't know what I was doing in the moment." So very good point. Absolutely, Nana too. Yes, absolutely. No, Bryan Kohberger is not, nor has he ever been, a PhD candidate. He is not a candidate. He's only finished one semester of a PhD program. No. He is a student. That's it. He is not a candidate. A PhD candidate is a person who has completed all of those requirements with just one part that's kind of missing. They've taken their classes, they've completed their comprehensive finals. That is evidence that they have a level of expertise in their area. And once you pass your comprehensive finals, which is a large test that tests anything and everything you ever did learn or should have learned in your PhD program. Once you pass that, then you become candidate. That's years of study before you become a candidate. I've heard some people say that it means that you have to finish your dissertation. That's not true. If you finished everything except your dissertation, then you're ABD. So you're all but dissertation. But there are a lot of people that will work on their dissertation as they're going through their coursework. And sometimes they will be ready to either present or, do their research proposal, or even to defend their research before they ever take their comprehensive finals. So the term PhD candidate is when you have taken your comprehensive finals and you have proven, okay, yes, you're an expert in this field, right? And then the dissertation is an additional part. If you're a PsyD, you're a doctorate of psychology, then you didn't have that heavy research influence. You didn't have that whole dissertation, which is a empirical research requirement. PsyDs can do qualitative studies. They still have a final project. They still have a capstone type of project, but it's just not that science-based empirical inquiry process, classes, and then ultimate research group that finishes it up. Let's see. He was a TA. Then I wonder how the hell none of the students saw any defensive wounds on him. What was he studying in Pennsylvania? He had a not a bachelor's degree. He had an associate degree in psychology, which is a 2-year degree. He had an associate degree. He then went on to the criminology degree, and the 2 years psychology, that helped with the basic requirements of the bachelor's degree. And a lot of people won't even name their associate degree. If they've got that bachelor's degree, they don't even really, sometimes they will, but most of the time they'll just say I have a bachelor's degree in criminology or a master's or whatever. So normally you give your highest degree achieved. The highest, like with a PhD, it's a conferred degree. So He had 1 semester under his belt in the PhD program. Being a teacher's assistant was one of his duties for a credit. He was taking other courses as well and would not make a prospectus for his dissertation until then. Question, Stuffed Banana, because you do sound like you know what you're talking about. Sometimes with the PhD program, sometimes they will provide like a teaching assistantship or a research assistantship, and that is you get a stipend. So it's a job you're doing and you receive money for that. But you're saying that he did it as a credit? I don't think I've ever seen the assistantships being done for school credit. I thought they were done as pay, like as student employment. What do you think, Stuffed Banana? At his graduation, I saw him receiving his master's degree in criminology. Yeah, so he's got a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, yes. He studied under Catherine Ramsland, who did a lot of interviews with BTK and ultimately wrote the biography on him. My dad is an attorney. He doesn't even mention his PhD. He is Esquire. Correct. There are a lot of medical doctors who can work one of both ways. Sometimes you get people that have a PhD that will then finish up and go to medical school. So they have both a PhD and an MD. Or you'll have a medical doctor who wants to do more research, and so they'll go back and complete a PhD. That's about the only time I've ever seen anybody that would name both degrees. They will generally sign their name as blah, 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 MD/PhD. But you have to realize why. Because those are both terminal degrees in different fields of study. So that you've achieved the very top in 2 different areas. And so those can be shown. I've seen the same thing with the engineering as well. I don't know legally. Have I ever seen that? Let me think a minute. I don't know. But sometimes you'll get people that list like, it looks like an alphabet behind their name because they're putting their bachelor degree, their master's degrees, their terminal degree, their licensing. That's just not, you got to be able to do your job, and most people, you're signing your name so many times, you just get really quick with how you sign your name, which is why you can't read a doctor's signature. Most people just put their highest achieved degree, and that's where so like with my name, my PhD, and then my license number. And that's my signature at work. William, they had 4 hours or so to do whatever they needed to do before they called 911. Y'all bring up a good point, Virginia. I keep being haunted. Hey, Ghost, how are you? Welcome. I keep thinking about the door being open that morning. Can anybody tell me? TAs are getting a stipend, taking courses. Sometimes the agreement waives tuition for those courses. Yeah. Okay. So that's in line kind of with what I know. Okay. Bryan definitely is not a genius, but I do believe he has more smarts than the average person. Common sense, maybe not so much. Agreed, Ghost. Yeah. Street smarts is a lot different than book smarts, right? Okay. So question to you guys, and I'll put a link if anybody wants to come up on panel and chit chat. Paste. Okay, so here's a link if you want to come up, give your opinion, talk about this a little bit. Question: what time of day was the kid walking to school and saw the front door open? Was it like 9:30? Anybody know right off the bat? I need to have some elevator music playing in the background as we wait. What time did the eyewitness walk by and see the door open? Yes, I think he's isolated, Christine. Anybody know? Bueller. The front door being opened, never read it in any official documents. They did talk about it. One of the police officers talked about it in a press conference. Was it 9? I thought it was 9:30. Okay, 9:30, 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock. No, William. Yeah, that is people talking behind the scenes. I'm talking about what's been official, right? I think like somewhere 9:30ish, correct? I wish somebody could find that. I thought it was at 9. Man, I'm sorry that I wasn't prepared for that. Okay, so let me do a quick Google, see if they have it. If they don't, we're going to move on with the conversation. So, Bryan, no, I'm going to put Idaho 4. What time eyewitness saw door open? Let's see. Here it is. Wide open at 9 a.m. Fox News just reported the front door was wide open at 9 a.m. per witness testimony. I'm going to keep reading to see if we... Okay, so most of these are, y'all are right. I was wrong. Most of these are saying 9. Okay. So okay, 9 o'clock. That's what it looks like. Everyone that I'm clicking on saying 9. All right. So we know from the affidavit that Bryan Kohberger, he took a long way home coming into town from a different direction than he would have been if he was coming straight back to Moscow. And I'm getting a lot of message StreamYard and YouTube messages. Okay. So we know that he went, he left, he took the long way home, but then was it 9? He went back and he was there from 9:12 to 9:31. Do I have that right? Is my memory correct? Because it was 18, 19, 20, 30. Yeah, it was 18 minutes. Okay. So from 9:12 to 9:30, he would have been there somehow, right? Well, was the car moving? Do they have any way of knowing that? Or do they believe that the car was just sitting there? Was he sitting at the road that's at the top of the backyard? Was he watching? Did he pull into a parking space and sit? Did he do just a drive-by? These are really important questions. And one of the reasons that I feel like this is a really important question is that door being open. The front door open, and then you've got the perpetrator who's driving by at about somewhere in that same time frame, right? I wondered to myself, did he go back into the damn house? It's a horrifying thought. Absolutely horrifying. So So one of the things that was brought up on a recent Brian Enton special is, and I think that what they did after this whole gag order was put into effect, I think they just went back and they got like old interviews they had done and not yet used, and they're now kind of going, still putting out new content, but it's all information that was gathered before the gag order was in place, right? One of the things that they brought up was this idea of the knife sheath, right? That somehow the sheath is going to be useful to the defense for getting him off, for saying this, he's not the one that did this. And I thought, wow, that is a crazy thought, right? Now, I've been bothered. I'm going to tell you, I've been really bothered by this whole knife sheath thing. The first thing I'm bothered about is, why wasn't it on his belt? Who walks around with a knife sheath in their hand? Why would somebody who is stalked and hunted for months, who's now going to believe that he can go into a house filled with people and carry out the perfect crime, why is he going to be so foolish and clumsy to think he's just going to carry a knife in a sheath like it's some sort of a purse? So that's number one. How'd the damn thing get off the belt? Or is he that dumb that he's literally carrying it as just an unsecured item in his hand? Is that somehow proof that maybe he had an intention of a sexual assault and maybe Kaylee interrupted the sexual assault? Maybe he had already undone the belt and the sheath was able to slide off the end of the belt, right, into the bed. There are millions of points of speculation here, people. And this goes back to my point about the gag order and the virtue signalers running around social media telling people, quit talking about the case, quit making videos. You're not allowed to do that. My point is, all of these points of speculation are not anything that a defense attorney or a judge or a prosecutor is going to waste any time with. They're overwhelmed actually prosecuting a real case. They've got laws and rules that they have to follow. They're not worried about me having this rando conversation about, but what if a spaceship came down and beamed Bryan into the bedroom? That they don't care about that. It's just nothing. It's wild speculation at its finest. And it has nothing to do with his civil rights or with the rules of the court. It's just people being people, correct? In fact, listen to this little nugget of information. Sundance Film Festival, they unveiled a secret documentary. The people that did this documentary were able to hide it because they were afraid of the backlash. In fact, one of them said they were in fear for their life, that if it got out what they were doing, that they could be harmed, to try to silence the message. You know what it was or is? It's a video on Brett Kavanaugh, one of our Supreme Court justices. Brett Kavanaugh. And they've done this whole video, this whole documentary where they've gone back and they've talked to people and they've collected documents and they've done all this to try to say one of the justices on the United States Supreme Court, these are the untouchables, people. In the Constitution, the way they established the government, they said you can't touch the Supreme Court. They are above politics. It doesn't matter if public opinion is against them. Their job is to only look at the Constitution and interpret the legality based on the Constitution. They should be all constitutionalists, but they're not. But they should be, the way the Constitution was written. So of all the people that you think that there would be a perpetual, never-ending gag order, you can't talk about them, you can't investigate them, you can't put out product about them, you would think that one of the Supreme Court justices would be it. But they're even doing it to now SCOTUS. So let's let's stay logical in understanding the difference between court proceedings and the reach of the court and what the court's able to do, and just human behavior, artistic endeavor, right? Okay. And of course, no one believes that a spaceship beamed Bryan into Maddie Mogen's bedroom. No one. I can say it all day long. But if I were to uncover video of a spaceship beaming some kind of crazy purple light down onto the house at 1122 Kings Road, and then I showed special energy waves saying, oh, look, there's a new person in the house, then I might get in trouble for fraud. But no one's going to look at that video and go, aha, the defense is going to use that and use it as evidence to try to get him off. That's just not happening, y'all. So stop with your virtue signaling. There's not anything wrong with having some of these discussions. Obviously, you want to be responsible. You don't want to do things that are going to harm other people, like, saying, no, I know Jack Showalter did it. He did it. I saw him. That would be, criminal liability. But to talk about the reported facts, to talk about the things that have been put out through press conferences, documents from the court, some of the legal scholars that are on YouTube and their discussions where they're educating the public, there's not anything wrong with those discussions. They're appropriate. I'm a bit surprised that there are actually people out there that believe, oh, there's a gag order. Can't talk about it. You're going to get arrested, Jules, because you're talking about Bryan Kohberger. Gag order. Gag. Okay, it's just not real. Okay. The mother who is speaking out has said the first call that Dylan made was to a girl. It was at 8:00 in the morning. I speculated, Virginia. I speculated that Dylan did reach out, but that maybe she would have contacted one of the males, one of the men that she knows, out of fear. I don't want to come out of my room. Can somebody come help me? That was my speculation. By 10 or 11, there were many kids there that had already gone through the house and knew the injuries of the bodies. This is all bigger than people think. Kids are afraid to come out because the ones who did this are on campus and they know it. Touch DNA is used by defense attorneys to acquire acquittals. Okay. William brings up the thing about the sheath that really bothers me. There's DNA on the snap only. Okay, I want to just think about this for a minute, okay? He's wearing gloves. They're not finding fingerprints, DNA anywhere else. The hairs, right? But he's got on gloves. So when did that piece of DNA get on that sheath? And why is it only in this obscure place on the snap? What if he went into into one of these army surplus stores and he said, I want to look at that knife, and he opened up the sheath and then he handed it back and said, I don't want to buy it, and moved on? You see my point? It's there. There's DNA. It's important. It shouldn't be in that house, period. But the defense attorneys have already thought of that. That's already a done deal. That's not anything. They're not going to go, oh, look, genius. Oh, my God, Jules is a genius. No, everyone's talking about that. Everyone's saying that, right? I think it's notable that the sheath is not on his belt. That's very interesting that it's just lying there on the bed, almost like, hey, neon light, look here. It's very strange. It's very strange. But here's a big part. The knife that would fit into that sheath, specifically the K-bar, that particular model, K-bar, that would fit that sheath specifically is inconsistent with the description of the injuries by the coroner or the medical examiner. Do y'all realize that? Do you realize that the medical examiner came out early, and said that the knife, and of course describes a K-bar type knife because it had to be a strong weapon not to break, right? But she says it would have had a serrated edge. Who remembers that? If you remember the medical examiner talking about the evidence that there was a serrated edge, put a 1. If you've never heard that before, if that's something completely new, put a 2. Mind blown when all is said and done. They said, but here's my skepticism, Virginia and William. They said the same thing about Kylie Rodney. Everybody kept saying, oh, there's a big story. Kylie Rodney, big deal. It's all coming out. And it didn't. It was just a sad case of a little girl that was really intoxicated and made a bad mistake. The medical examiner. People going to remember all this speculation during the trial. Trust me, there's too much reasonable doubt here, which is why everyone's talking about the case. You know why people talk about these cases? In the situations where they're releasing information, where there's knowledge that's being disseminated, there's much less talk. It's cases where there's absolutely nothing being leaked that people get really, really crazy and put out all these fake, leaks, things that aren't real, like Delphi or Delphi or whatever. Look at Delphi case. They kept that all so tight to their chest, but people came out with crazy stories and it endured for years. I mean, it went for years. This case, the speculation was really pretty good. It was really not too bad until the first gag order. And when the first gag order came in, then people got crazy. The top end of my K-bar is serrated. Exactly, Kathy. So some of the K-bars have the serrated edge. It's a small part, right? It's only about maybe 3 inches that's serrated, maybe 4. Not all K-bars have that serrated edge, is my understanding. This story is still viral because it's not adding up to a lot of people. Oh, well, yeah. So let's talk about that part too. That's a good point. If you remember correctly, and this was unforgivable, this was terrible, that when all of this happened, people began saying this person did it or this person did it. And it was all friends, right? It was all friends of one of the 4. They were even accusing Dylan and Bethany of being responsible before anything ever came out about Bryan Kohberger. They were saying, oh, well, there's 2 people living. How did they survive? They must have done it. They were in on it. Oh, I think it was Dylan's boyfriend. And it just got really kind of crazy. Okay, it just got nuts. In fact, I got a lot of hate. I couldn't believe how much hate when I made the video that said, that those girls were with Jack Showalter willingly. that their conversation as they walked to the grub truck, their conversation showed friendship, that Jack was being included in the conversation. And that at one point, it actually looks like Maddie is kind of holding on to Jack, right? Maybe she's got her hands in his pocket. She's cold. Maybe she's holding on because she's intoxicated. I didn't say it was like a romantic. I just said it looks like she's hanging on to him. And at one point, she backs away. She's kind of swinging her arms, and he readjusts his jacket. My point was, no, Jack Showalter didn't run off to Africa. And even if he did run off to Africa, his family is from South Africa. So it wouldn't be weird that they would be in Africa. It'd be okay. It'd be normal. Like, me and you driving to Arkansas for Christmas. So I made this video and I said, he's a good guy. I think he was trying to help out. I think he was trying to, I think those girls knew that they were being watched. I think they may have even been receiving creepy messages from old creepazoid Bryan. And I think that they felt uncomfortable. They knew someone was watching. They just didn't know how, when, or where. Some people claim that they can see a white car pull up around behind the grub truck in the reflection of the glass. So I think they knew they were uncomfortable. And I think Jack Showalter is being their friend. That's it. And when I made that video, people were mad at me. Like, they got really upset with me. And they were like, oh, how can you say that? He's the last one that saw him alive. He did it. He's the guy. I'm like, no, you're wrong. He's not the guy. He's just not. You can try to force it all you want to, but he's not. There were other people that thought Jack DeCoeur was absolutely the guy. He did it. And I said, well, of all the people that really had something to be upset about, Jack DeCoeur was the one, because he'd been with this girl forever, never. And now she's leaving and going off to find her best life in Austin, Texas, which is literally all the way across the country. The number of miles to drive from Moscow, Idaho to Austin, Texas is only a couple of hundred, like 200 or 300 miles less than if she were to drive from Moscow to New York City. Yeah. So when I say across the country, she was moving across the country. I got hate for that. People say, oh, well, it's only like 4 or 5 states. Why are you saying it's across the country? Because it literally is thousands of miles, right? So she, she was leaving him and she was his person and he was upset. So I did, I said, of all of the people that have been discussed, he's probably the one that would be most likely to be emotional, have the most to lose in this thing. Maybe he did get triggered. Maybe he did act out in frustration or rage. Maybe he did. But that was a far cry from people putting up videos saying, see, it was him because of this and this and this and this. So that's one of the reasons why, William, I can agree with what you said. I think people were really invested emotionally in the idea that it was someone that these 4 kids knew. It had to be someone they knew. And poor old Sigma Chi, the fraternity, the Greeks, oh my God, have y'all ever heard so much Greek hate in your life? I'm talking about 50-year-old women on their channels talking about how evil the kids that are in sororities and fraternities, how monstrous and evil those kids are. All right. If you can hear me, put a 1. I'm here. All right. Now then. So, okay, good. Sorry about that. That was so crazy. I wasn't even touching my computer and the whole thing got shut down. So I don't know if somebody's like pinging me or, but that's okay. So this group of people, it was really sad because you had 50-year-old women who were going live and they were talking about these 20, 18, 19, 20-year-old young men and young women like they were like this blanket global statement that all kids that are involved in Greek life are these subhuman, horrible, violent, evil, drug addicted, nasty creatures. And I just sort of, laughed and I thought, wow, you are absolutely showing your ignorance in terms of what the whole Greek associations are and why they even have why they even have fraternity life or sorority life. The truth is that they are based on philanthropic endeavor. There are some fraternities and sororities that grade point average is a minimum standard. If the kids' grades fall below what is set by the organization, then they are required to do tutoring. They are very often told that they cannot go to the bars or they can't do this or that if it looks like they're drinking too much or whatever, it has. The people that will sit around and tell you how awful the Greek community is are probably people that, were either could not afford to be involved in that type of organization because the dues and whatnot are very expensive. Or they didn't get a bid. They tried, they wanted to, they rushed, and they didn't get invited to be a part. So, but if you're a 50-year-old woman and you're sitting on YouTube talking about these things, maybe resist the urge throwing hate at a bunch of young people who haven't even gotten started in their lives very well. Quit making, blanket judgments against people. The reality is that organizations like the Phoenix Society, various organizations for autism, the American Cancer Society, these are organizations that entire fraternities and sororities are dedicated to provide financial support. They pledge every year how much money that they're going to earn and give to these organizations. And then these kids work their asses off all year long trying to come up with the money. And that money is sent right to whatever their chosen charity is. And that is the truth. That's the truth. Now, do they also find a great deal of mischief? They do. And unfortunately, if they create mischief and they're wearing a Greek letter on their shirt, then it gets too much attention. Because I'm here to tell you, the colleges also have a lot of kids that create mischief that are not Greek. But it's a little bit hard to demonize those kids if you can't group them together into one organization, right? So, let's behave, shall we? Let's not make blanket global statements against people that may not have earned that hate. Right? So the fraternity groups, they do a lot of good. They really do. And, sometimes bad things happen. Sometimes people, maybe drink too much or take drugs or whatever, and it's too bad, but maybe they would have done that without the fraternity involved. I don't know. So, all right. I'd rather talk about this than dish soap brands. I know, right? My husband was Sigma Alpha Epsilon, tennis player, normal guy, and just a little bit hippie. I love hippie, man. Question, since you have that expertise, do you believe Dylan's story and innocence? I absolutely do. Yes, I absolutely believe her story. I can absolutely envision her being confronted with a killer. Even if we don't add the killings in, let's just go from the point of view that Dylan had no idea what had happened with the other kids in the house. Okay, she didn't know that 3 times things happened that caused her to look out, curious, and hearing that she knew what she did know is something was wrong in the house. Things were out of the ordinary, correct? And then the last time she looks out, because things are definitely not normal, when she looks out, now she's confronted with a terrifying specter of a man. I don't care what you say. Bryan Kohberger is a creepazoid from the pits of hell in terms of the way he looks. He scares me. There's something about his appearance that makes me feel icky on the inside. Now, so she looks out. He's got this black mask across his nose and mouth and chin, but she can see those intense, weird, creepy eyes, right? And she's frozen. He walks right past her. I think he had tunnel vision. I think he was exhausted. I think he was now in survival mode, and he was just trying to escape. He was just trying to get to the car and get the hell out of Dodge, right? It may not have registered in his mind that this girl is standing there looking at him. He may have been so focused on, I've got to get out now. He would have been traumatized at this point as well. So I think Dylan's standing there. He walks towards her. She freezes. He keeps on walking. And I think she snapped out of it and retreated to her room as a little scared rabbit going into a rabbit hole. And I think that once she got in the room, she locked the door. And I am almost certain that when this thing comes out in trial, we will find out that she moved furniture in front of the door. I think she barricaded the door in the fears that he would come back. And then I think she sat quiet, unmoving, like a little mouse, so that she wouldn't attract any attention to herself. And perhaps after sitting there for a while, she fell asleep out of just sheer exhaustion, the adrenaline going away, and she basically kind of passed out. When she finally woke up, there was awareness. Oh my God, not only did this creepy, weird thing happen last night, but why are there nobody? Why are my roommates not talking? Where are they? I don't hear them. I don't hear anybody yelling about the dog. I don't hear anybody laughing and talking about what happened last night. Why? What are the sounds of the house? Why are they absent? And so she's still hiding, but now there's some curiosity. So now she calls a friend. She says, I think something is wrong. I think something's wrong. And then that's when you got all the kids come over. And I think all of that makes sense. All of it fit with what I know about 18-year-old girls. It fits. There's nothing out of the ordinary when you think about that scenario. An 18, 19-year-old young girl living in a house with other girls, away at college. It fits. It just does. No way they weren't screaming for their lives or help. No way. Bethany heard nothing. There is a way, William, and I haven't voiced it because it's gruesome, and so I'm not going to do it. I think we did hear yells. I think that Kaylee did yell. There's someone here. There's someone in the house, y'all. I think she was yelling to wake everybody up. Otherwise, how do you explain that you've got a camera that's 50 feet away through multiple walls that pick the sound up? No, I think she did yell. It doesn't really matter, I don't think, in terms of being high or drunk. I don't think that matters in terms of adrenaline, right? Adrenaline would bypass all that. Correct. I'm the same with Dylan. My heart is broken for her. Yeah. The only one awake was Xana. When you have a knife to your neck, you're not going to scream. I believe Xana was the one who said someone's here when she saw the sliding door open. Xana is the only one that got DoorDash, William. And if you remember, William, Maddie she had been having a really good time that night. She was pretty drunk. She was swaying as she was standing there, walking from one person to the next. You could tell she was a little unsure on her feet. Kaylee wasn't. Kaylee looked like she was, sober. But yeah, I'm sure Maddie would have laid down and been out like a light. Boom. So those of you in my channel that maybe you haven't seen this whole thing related to a lot of kids showing up at 8 a.m., that kids were messaging one another, that Xana and Maddie and Kaylee and Ethan were dead at 8 a.m. in the morning, that there was, I hate to repeat it because I don't believe it. I don't believe the story. We know there was a struggle. I absolutely believe that Ethan and Xana and Bryan struggled. I believe that, yeah. But I think it was when he was on his way out. I think he was coming down the stairs when it all unfolded. It's possible if it was Xana's order and she was sitting on the sofa or in the kitchen or whatever eating, it's possible that he went ahead and quickly ended her life, went ahead and went upstairs for Maddie. Kaylee interrupted him. And then when he's trying to come down, maybe Ethan's coming out going, Xana, where are you? And that's when, he got into it with Ethan. But no, I don't think it was quiet in the house like we had originally thought. I don't think it was, originally when this thing all came out, I said in the beginning that it felt like a serial killer type of setting to me. In fact, in my video, I even talked about the Dahmer special and the dog and whatnot, and then everybody got crazy saying, no, it was one of the friends. It was Sigma Chi. They did it as a group. No, they were all dealing drugs. I mean, it was just all kinds of crazy, things. And that idea never left me. No, I don't think this is someone that they knew. I think this was absolutely a true victim type of scenario. And I think that they're going to find out that guy was stalking them and hunting them. I think they're going to find out that he was watching them from those woods, the backyard, that maybe he was parking in the parking lot, observing them. I even one time said maybe he's friends with someone in that neighborhood and that's how he came across them. But then I was very surprised when the arrest affidavit came out. I was very surprised to find out, that he had been following them from the moment he arrived in town. So that means that he had already had his eyes set on them while he was in Pennsylvania. That to me is an important avenue of investigation for the police. They need to find out how it was that he knew about them when he was in Pennsylvania. Important, right? Where's the blood in the car? Agreed, William. That's been one of my big red flags is, you really going to tell me that car wasn't just filled with smears? Yeah. It had to have been. But how much time did he have for cleaning up, William? He had 8 weeks. They'd be boasting about it to boost their credibility. Yeah, fraternities can't keep a secret. Trust me. I'm not buying all this circumstantial evidence with so much reasonable doubt. When the video is over, I'm going to post a comment as to how I think everything went down. Let me know what you think. I absolutely will, Ghost. Thank you. I would welcome that. They did not release any information about the car yet. We need to wait until the trial. Yeah, the search warrant was for the apartment, right? We don't even have the search warrant for the inside of the car yet. Agreed. There is something that will clean blood proteins, William, but I'm not going to say what it is on my channel. Could he have plastic all over the interior of the car in preparation? It'd be a big chance. It's possible, Alice, but I would think it would be a big chance for him if he gets stopped by the cops, and what are they going to question, right? Unless he had on a hazmat suit. Well, and I think that's what the receipts are going to end up being. I kind of think the receipts are going to end up being for, black t-shirt, black shoes, something like that. I'm gonna tell you, I don't know how I feel about this idea about law enforcement commenting on people being ruled out, right? Oh, we checked their alibis, they're at this time, they're not a person of interest or whatever. On the one hand, I think they shouldn't do that. It should all be silent, right? Then on the other hand, with this new social media, so many people follow these cases and get all crazy. Would it hurt if somebody put out their alibi? Right? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I'm just saying it's something that I kind of think about and wonder to myself. If people on social media began to think you were involved in some crime, do you think it would benefit you to come out and say, the cops have looked at me, they've checked out my alibi, this is where I was, or this is what I was doing, now leave me alone? What would be the point? I think if you did that, I think the people that want to point fingers at individuals, I think it would make them worse. I think it would just give them more to talk about. I think the utter and complete silence is the way to go. The judge, Christine, the judge did it. No, she just said he was dressed all in black. Which makes me think the lights were on because Anna was eating, right? It's a terrifying situation. I cannot even imagine what she felt. She specifically said all black. Yeah. All right. Okay, so nobody wants to come up and give their opinion, huh? Man, keyboard warriors. No, I'm kidding. Give you one more chance. If nobody wants to come up and talk about what they know. But yeah, I've seen the chatter, the talk about the phone calls and the 8 a.m. Here's what's going on, and I don't believe it. William, I'll tell you why I don't believe it. I don't believe it because the blood, let me see how to say this and be really polite. With just one dead person, 7 hours after death, the environment is awful. But you're talking about 4 people hours after. To go in and out of that environment, the kids would have been sick. I'm just going to say it. The kids would have been sick. You've got police officers going in and out of one of those environments that can't tolerate what happens. So it's not like they're all tucked nice and cute in their bed and you can smell lemons from where they clean the sink. It's not like that. You know that something's wrong in that house. There's no doubt in your mind something bad is wrong when there's a dead body in the house, especially not even one that's like 2 or 3 hours. We're talking about 8 hours. 8 hours. Look up rigor mortis, look up time frames, what the changes the bodies go through over what happens the first hour or two, and then the 5-6 hour mark. Look it up. No, those kids would not have been able to walk in and out of that house doing what this lady suggested that they were doing. That's just BS. And I'm going to go ahead and say it, William. That woman that you're talking about who, she's got the inside scoop, right? Well, the last time she was calling in to a YouTube channel before this one, my daughter knows them, blah, blah, blah. She had called in a couple of weeks before then. You want to know for what? For the white car. Oh, the white car, it's wrecked. It's in Oregon, and it's at a intersection, and you can see inside of it. And no. This is just a person who is friends with a creator who's trying to create content. Here, I said it. All right. Listen to the voices. It's the same voice. And it, you know as well as I do, William, if you're family with law enforcement or anything like that, you know damn well that the wife or the husband of a police officer, an investigator, is not going to go onto a YouTube channel and say, well, my husband, well, he is one of the investigators in the Idaho 4 case. And so he told me everything. And so I'm not going to give you my name, but I'll tell you everything that I know because, he's an investigator and I'm just the wife. So it's okay if I talk about it. No, BS, because the wives, the children, the husbands, they recognize, this is real life. These are the victims have families. These are real people. And if you're affiliated with law enforcement and you go on public social media and start saying that your spouse has been talking to you about an investigation, you're going to get your spouse fired and probably brought up on charges. At the very least, there'll be an investigation. So you got this bozo lady calling in going, ooh, I'm the wife of one of the investigators. No, you're not. You're friends with the YouTube creator, and you're trying to create a scenario that YouTube creator can say, oh, I'm the only channel that has this information. Let me tell you everything that there is to know. And don't listen to those other channels, because those other channels, they're just lie and they speculate. Just listen to me. It's all BS. It's not true. It's not true. The lady that called in about the daughter and the kids in the morning and all that, same exact voice as the lady who claimed to know everything there was to know about the car in Oregon. So that's my opinion on it. Let's all listen to People's Magazine. He was not acting erratic in jail. It was some other poor schmuck. But it's an excellent example, William. It's an excellent example of how people are really hungry to feel important. And if the crime of the century, if you think that you're in jail with the guy that's been arrested for the crime of the century, and that you get to talk about how you saw him acting all crazy and nutty, and that gets you, a few minutes in the newspaper or gets you on a viral video going across the internet, then you'll do that. Some people have such small and meaningful lives. They're willing to do whatever they can do to try to seem like they're important, right? I agree with that. The reality is that he wasn't doing anything. He was sitting there staring at the wall and not talking. And that is consistent with the history that we know about this guy, right? So let's be really mindful and careful. Do you really believe that the wife of an investigator is going to go onto a YouTube channel and say, "Oh, let me tell you all about the investigation"? No, it's not going to happen. Sorry about that. Okay. Why wouldn't the news report this woman then if it would get them headlines? Wait a minute. What? Why wouldn't the news report this woman? Because it's such bullshit, William. Because it's not, you can listen to the story that this woman is telling and you can say, no, that is not consistent with what I know about 18 to 20-year-old people. That's why, because there's nothing credible about it. It's a made up fantastical tale by a troubled woman who is willing to do whatever she can do to get her YouTube creator friend to think that she's important. It's not real. It's not consistent with reality. And this same exact channel it's the same channel that is raking Dylan through the coals, making her this self-assured, worldly, 50-year-old woman who goes, "Oh, look, there's an intruder in my house. Let me call 911 immediately." That is not consistent with what an 18-year-old girl growing up in a protected and sheltered family, that is not consistent with what they would do. I'm going to tell you right now what my daughter would do and exactly what I would have done. If it had been me when I was 18 or 19, or my daughter when I was 18 or 19, I'd have picked up the phone and called my dad. That's what I'd have done in a heartbeat. That would have been, I would have stayed quiet. I would have put something in front of the door. I would have waited. And then when the sun came up, I would have called my dad. That's what I would have done. And to some extent, I think that's what my daughter would have done. Although I don't think she'd have waited. I think she'd have gone ahead and called me like that moment, right? Like as soon as she got in that room and felt safe, that she was secure, she'd have called me screaming, going, "Mom, mom, mom, oh my God, there's a man in the house, mom, mom, mom." Why are YouTubers not discussing the Chronicles of Olivia YouTube call with Kim? This information offers real facts. No, I don't believe Kim. I don't believe Kim. That's what I'm telling you. I'm saying this clear. I don't believe Kim. And if you listen to Kim's voice, it's the same voice as the lady that called in and said that she was the wife of a police officer and that the white Hyundai Elantra was in Oregon. That's why I don't believe it. And I don't think that Chronicles of Olivia, that's not the channel that I'm talking about that is doing this. It's a 50-something-year-old person or a 60-year-old person. I don't even watch Chronicles of Olivia. Every now and then I'll watch one of her videos, but that's not, I don't know anything that's going on with Bullhorn Betty or Chronicles of Olivia. I don't watch them. They're not on my radar. I don't pay it unless something extraordinary happens and somebody directs me over there to watch. It's not even on my mind to look at their things. But this lady, I guess they've given her the name Kim now. It did not come out on Olivia's video channel. She came out with that story before Olivia. Olivia's chasing Bigfoot in more ways than one, Alma. Olivia is watching Bigfoot and then chasing down the BSers, right? Okay, tell me who interviewed her, William. I don't even know why I'm entertaining this, because it's wrong. She seems to have injected herself into multiple stories, Alice, if you listen to the voice. Some YouTubers hire people to say things for views. There are absolutely, look at, what's that guy's name? The one that put the video up saying you could hear the girl scream. Joseph Morris, right? Drunk Turkey. I don't know what Drunk Turkey is. Oh, Drunk Turkey is the cops. Are they cops? No, she did not call Drunk Turkey first. The story first came out as text messages. Yeah, look at Joseph Morris. How every one of these extraordinary stories, he makes up something. You remember the Brian Gabby Petito case? People were talking about that, he got on a boat because of the last camping trip, and his brother and father have a yacht company, and that, he was out in the Gulf of Mexico on a yacht somewhere. And what did Joseph Morris do? He finds an old obscure clip of a boat that's in the water, and he puts that up in this fake account and makes it look like it was Brian. He does it all the time for views, and then he laughs about it. He's not ashamed that he gets caught. Go back and look at his channel where people have called him out and said, my God, you're such a liar. You're such a fake. You're such a fraud. One of them showed him laying in his bed, and he had his feet up, and he was like lounging, and he was holding his phone up so that you could see the number of views that were on the video. It was like snubbing his nose going, okay, call me whatever you want to, but I'm getting the views. I'm the one making the paycheck. So he's doing it on purpose. Believe it or not, there are unscrupulous people. Okay, well, so this is actually a really important comment that William made. Okay, he's being facetious here. That's the only reason the story blew up, because she called a small show, yet she was looking for fame. So anyone that calls in is lying. Okay, let's think about this, William. Okay. It is the story of the new century, 2023. Anyone and everyone in the true crime community, any kind of tentacles, even Dr. Drew is talking about the Idaho 4. Everyone is talking about it. No, psychologists, psychiatrists, engineers, FBI, military, everyone, Fox News, MSNBC, everyone. Okay. It is unlikely that the mother of a daughter involved in all this, after watching Jack Showalter get his name dragged through the mud, Joe Vidot got his name dragged through the mud. I mean, we could just keep naming them. All of the Sigma Chi boys, all of it, right? You're now the mother of a girl that is a part of this social media communication they all knew by 8 a.m., right? As the story goes, correct, William? Do you believe that your mom or your wife would have looked at this as an opportunity to go on to a talk show of any size or order, whether it's little old Jules of Thought or whether it's, Sean Hannity or anything in between? Do you think a mother would go on and say, let me tell you what I know and increase the chances that Bryan Kohberger goes free? Or do you think the mother of one of these girls would go, okay, honey, I know you don't like this, but we got to do the right thing. We've got to call the police. We've got to do a police report. We got to do what they tell us to do. And you know what they told them to do, William? They told all of the ones that were involved, shut your mouth. All of this information is going to be used to try to put him behind bars where he belongs. Don't jeopardize that. That's the truth. And if this woman is for real, if this woman is telling the truth, if this child is one of the kids that was involved in this thing, then that woman needs to be, someone needs to do a psych eval on her, because it's not normal. It's not natural. Some people want this to be a huge conspiracy theory so bad they will literally believe anything and everyone because that's what they want. If someone called in with a story to confirm it, we would be talking differently. No, William, no. You want to know when let me tell you when I would be different, William. I would be different at the trial. You show me a trial, show me a witness stand with Kim on the witness stand. Show me. Okay, then I'm going to be the first one to go, hey, y'all remember William 2 years ago? Remember? Yeah, sorry, William, I was wrong. That's the way that will play out. No, absolutely not. Knowing what I know about people, knowing what I know about people that witness violent crime, knowing what I know about college kids and their parents, moms, dads, absolutely not. The mother of a girl that got called at 8 a.m. and said they're all dead, while the news, the cops are saying, oh, we never even knew about it till after, noon. No, that is not the way a mother behaves. Wrong. And like I said, if she really did do it, if she really is who she said, then all I got to say is somebody needs to get her to get some help, because how do you say this, William, you say, oh, well, she went on, she gave her real name, she gave the names of her children, she verified it. Well, is she crazy? What woman in their right mind would go on social media and say, here's my picture, here's my name, here's the name of my college age students, and the cover up she was involved in? Sorry, William. Dog doesn't hunt. Tiny dance, hold me closer, tiny dancer. Life advice, y'all. Do not believe anything someone says, even mainstream media and social media, people without solid proof. They all lie. It's all about views, isn't it? Views. Histrionics. You think Kim was histrionic? You think she got emotionally involved in the case and became somewhat delusional? Banfield. William, behave. You know how I feel about mainstream media. You can't. I've called the FBI. Of course you can call the FBI. Zoot, scoot, and boogie. Jules, I only believe my mom. See there, Alma? I'm the same. I think it's possible Showalter was slinging a blade in that house. David, you came back. You were here earlier and then you left. Would you like to come up on panel, David, and explain like why you think that? I'm curious. Do you want to come up on panel? Let me give you a link here. Come on up and tell the world why you think that cops need to be looking at Jack Showalter. Big ups. Let me get my headphones. Big ups. Okay, big ups, that your camera's on, right? Okay, all right. Yay, big ups. Hi. How are you?
Good. Yourself?
I'm doing great. It's wonderful to actually meet you face to face.
Yes. Very nice.
So, yeah. Okay, so what is your opinion?
On what part?
About this Kim and the belief that these kids knew about the murders at 8 a.m. and that they were busy, throwing drugs away. And
I think it's bullshit on the bullshit, baby.
me too.
That's
Yep.
right. I think it's 5 minute fame. That's what I'm saying.
So did you see the lady that had called in about the car in Oregon?
I didn't actually hear her. I heard the voice somewhat, but I forget,
Yeah.
what it sounds like. But
I think it's very similar. The voice is very similar.
it could be her.
Yeah.
These people are crazy. You know what YouTube reminds me of? YouTube reminds Yahoo Chat years ago.
Yeah.
And MSN. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. A bunch of crazy people who have nothing better to do.
Like me and you, big ups.
You stuff, right? Because I enjoy your channel so much. You're very informative, right? You are a professional psychologist, okay? And that's why I listen to your, because you just make sense. You have a lot of common sense, and that's why I listen.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll send your check as soon as the show's over.
Down
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
speculation, right? And you're also very fun, whether you know it or not. You are extremely fun. You're very, that's what I watch. But I just can't take like the Dolly Visions,
Yeah.
Perplexed QTs, and Molly, MGL. All, all they're doing, even Grizzly. Like Grizzly, I watch, but I can't watch her anymore because it's like 3 or 4 times a day. She's like beating this case with a stick. You know what I'm saying?
Do you know why that it's happening? Because no one wants to watch anything but this case.
Well, I would like to, move on to another case, and then wait to see what happens. You know what I mean?
And it's actually time to do that. Like that's the point that we're at right now. And the judge has now issued their second gag order, and they're all kind of sending the message. Now is the long wait. Right? We experienced with Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell. It was very active, and they were looking for the kids, and then they found the kids, and then they were looking for Chad and Lori. But then you've got years and literally years of waiting for it to actually come to trial. So that's where we are with this Bryan Kohberger thing. It's just about a done deal at this point, unless people are just going to talk about the same thing over and over and over, which we may get as long as people are looking,
Yeah, the only thing that was reported in the beginning that I don't understand is that why was it reported that he was on the first floor with Beth?
What, you're cutting out really bad. Why was it reported what?
That that DM was on the first floor with Bethany.
Correct. So that's a good point. And David, if you're still here, if you go back to the direct messages, it says that Dylan was on the first floor with Bethany, but we know that is not true now. She was on Bethany was on the lower level, and Dylan was on the main level where the kitchen and where Xana and Ethan were. And so right there, that tells you that the woman is not telling the truth.
Exactly. And another thing that bothers me is that, it's probably true, that they knew from like the second day who he was. And I would bet dollars to donuts that they had at least 50 agents following him everywhere. They had younger agents probably in the classrooms that he was in. They had people all over watching right from day 2 because of them clearing the 2 jets. They would not.
No, that makes very good sense. Because I asked myself, you've got 4 kids that are slaughtered with seemingly no idea who it is. And then you're going to tell everybody that you're fine, you're safe, don't worry. No, they wouldn't have. They had to have been on him every second.
Exactly. And then when they got stopped in Indianapolis twice, I think that's because they wanted to check to make sure the father was okay.
Yeah, one thing is one of the clues, because there was that discussion in the media of, well, did the FBI ask the police to stop them and check, or was this something that was just kind of spontaneous and the cops just did it? I think one of the big clues is that you have a sheriff's department who's stopping a guy that's on the interstate. Sheriff's department doesn't stop people on the interstate. That's the state police, unless there's an accident or something like that.
Unless they're unless there's no one available.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think someone asked them to do that. Maybe it was Idaho asked them to check and see who's actually driving that car, or look at his hands, or whatever. But I'm still with you on that first point of they had to have been watching him. It was too big of a chance to take that he goes and kills 4 people. How do they know he's not completely insane and going to go after somebody else?
Right.
So
them letting Jack go, they go to Africa. I could see them letting him go to Africa because then he's not around here. Right? He's not to cause any problems, right?
Yes.
So, but the other Jack, that's what I'm saying. They probably knew right off the bat, and didn't he apply to the Pullman, Washington Police Department?
He did.
Well, when you apply to a police department for a job, they are taking DNA swabs right away, and they take fingerprints, and now they take blood. Pretty sure they take 8 vials of blood.
Wow.
Before they even recognize your application or they approve it, they're thinking about it. You have to give that stuff right at the beginning.
Yeah.
That's why I'm thinking that's how fast they knew, because he just forfeited the DNA, forfeited the fingerprints recently.
Yeah.
They just thought maybe they thought he was a weirdo. A lot of the police officers or detectives, just by talking to you, they know you're a weirdo or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you get a sixth sense, right? I mean, at some point you do that type of job long enough, you begin to sort of pick up on people's unusual vibes,
But someone asked me.
Uh-oh, you're cut out. Hold on. Try again.
Someone asked me if I should start a channel. I said, if I start a channel with my life, I'll be 100,000 subs a week, because my life is a mess, right?
Aw. A big mess, a good mess or a bad mess? Messes come in all shapes and sizes.
House, I would stream my house, right? Because my father passed away last year, not of COVID, and my mother has cancer. I'm trying to take care of everything around the house, right? And it's very difficult.
Yeah.
And my sister is dating a married man.
Oh my God.
Not good, right?
It's messy. Yeah.
He's the one that put the hole in the side of my my wall, outside wall, and a mouse bit me in the ass. Right? So that was like in March. Well, it came back with a vengeance, right? We stitches. It traveled right to my groin area. It's a mess, right? So I'm really, it's like one thing after another with my sister.
Well, she needs to be careful because just uh, entering into a relationship where there's infidelity, already you're at an increased risk of being the target of a violent crime.
And I tell her all the time, hey, just go to YouTube, dating a married man, right? You'll have thousands of videos telling you that's not a good idea at all.
Right. Yeah.
So his wife, supposedly, they say she's crazy. So,
Well,
well,
then that's even all the more reason for her to be careful and put an end to this thing.
right. Well, I'd be crazy too if my husband was cheating on me. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It's not his first rodeo.
Yeah. But you should not underestimate the level of anger that comes from being the betrayed.
Exactly.
The betrayed have a great capacity for violence.
Yeah.
So she needs to be careful. Tell her there ain't no man worth that. It doesn't matter.
There really isn't a man.
No. No. So
I get over 2 head-on collisions. It really messed me up. I'm
yeah.
like, the game is now. I'm trying to get back.
You must live pretty far out in the wilderness.
No, I don't.
You're cutting out really bad. Like we can hear a few words and then there's no words, and then a few words and then no words.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I wish I was.
I'm well. So did you really order the jacket, or were you joking?
Oh no, I ordered it. I sent you a picture. Remember?
Oh yeah, but I didn't know, if it was actually the same one. Or do you like it?
Oh, I love it. Yeah,
That's so funny. That's so funny.
come through it
Uh-huh.
like a regular jacket, but
Yeah.
the stays out. And then when I put on the battery, I hooked it up and I put it on. The thing gets, I would say, 20 seconds.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so ultimately you think that this whole story that's been told by Kim, you think it's unlikely to be true.
Oh yeah, it's just like added stress, right? Adding stress to the whole case. For what? You know? I think these murders are everything are more simple than you think. That's what my opinion. That he probably just like maybe took the door down, saw the guy there driving around, he picked up the door down and maybe rang the doorbell, right?
Yeah.
People, when you give the guy a tip, a delivery person,
Yeah.
and you just close the door if your hands are full. You don't necessarily lock it.
Right.
A lot of people don't lock it, and so I think maybe he could have just entered the house and went right up the stairs or hid in the closet, right?
So
And
so you think it was more he had been stalking them and he just took this opportunity that presented itself.
that's what I think. I think he was driving around. He saw a DoorDash guy, right? And he's like, "Ooh, you know, this is a perfect opportunity, right?" He was all set to go. That's what I think. He took that opportunity. He was going to do it anyway, but he just took the opportunity that night because he had it. Or, I think he's really screwed. I think the dog hair,
Yeah.
that's going to be the ultimate. I think Murphy's going to get him back.
You can't explain that away, can you?
No, you can't. You
Yep.
can't.
Yep.
What is he going to
I
explain
agree.
at a party there?
That's
Like
right.
could say it was a party like 4 weeks ago or 3 months ago, and he never washed his clothes. Come on.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, there are neighbors of his, people that lived underneath, it said that he was up all night long vacuuming.
Yeah.
So he won't be able to get out of that one.
Hey, DNA has to be all over that house.
The other one too is we have, this was an arrest, a search warrant for the apartment, but we haven't seen the search warrant for the car.
Right. I mean, he could have dog hair. They could have dog hair from the car too.
Yeah.
And in the house itself, the most DNA comes off for skin follicles, not hair alone.
Yeah.
Because your skin is always flaking, whether you see it or not. That they can get the DNA from. In a fight, if you're in a fight, right, your DNA, your skin particles are all over everything.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if you're completely clothed or not. It's coming from like outside your clothing or through your clothing.
Yeah.
And that's why the masks really don't work with COVID and stuff like that.
You're going to be damned to the pits of hell if you say that. People don't have any tolerance for that kind of thing.
I wear a mask, right, wherever I go.
Yeah.
Is my immune system is down, so that's why I wear it. But the skin microns are so small, they do the skin.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So like I said, his skin particles, his hair, even his eyebrows, all over the place. And also, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of a little. I'm getting to a point where I really don't believe Dylan too much. Probably because they said that she was downstairs. She may not have said that. They may have said cops, right? Just to protect her, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that something's fishy there. Either she answered the ad that he posted. I mean, I don't care if I was a criminal, I don't care how exhausted it was, I would not leave it alone. Okay?
Wait, say that again. You cut out.
I said, if I was a criminal, right, I don't care how exhausted I was, right, because the adrenaline would kick in, I wouldn't leave anyone in the house alive.
Yeah. No, I agree. But there's a biological reality, right? And the biological reality is before he ever went in the house, his adrenaline would have been astronomically high. But then to murder one person with a knife is physically demanding at the least, right? But he's gone through three, and one of those people, I mean, Ethan was a formidable opponent. He's a big guy. He's an athlete. So I really kind of believe in the fact that, he's vegan. He's not really a meat eater. So I would be willing to bet after the murders of these four young, healthy people, he was done. I think he was at the edge of exhaustion. He might have been able to just put one foot in front of the other and not really. I think by the time Ethan was done with him, I think he was, I got to get out of here. I'm losing. They're going to get me. This did not happen the way that I planned it.
Yeah, I'm not a female, so you're a female, like you said before. He's 18 years old, Dylan, right?
Yep.
He probably, barricaded her door and stuff like that. But I don't know. I'm a guy. I probably would have.
Yes.
I would have took him out.
Correct. And there are, I mean, that is you have that term fight or flight, right? Like Dr. Latina likes to add, do the whole 5 stress responses, but the reality is fight or flight, that is that basic either problem approach or problem retreat. And,
right.
and, I'm kind of like you. I had an episode that happened one time in a Walmart. I saw this lady who was being really horrible to this little child, and I was looking at something on the bottom shelf. I was, just leaned down, and I heard this commotion. I turned around and looked. She was maybe, I don't know, maybe 30 feet from me, maybe 40 feet. And I turned around and looked, and the anger that she had against the child was now directed at me, right? Like I caught her eye. She saw me looking at her. Right. And she began screaming at me. That there was a wide aisle in between us. And she began screaming at me, and she had her finger pointed at me, and she was basically saying, that she was going to beat me, or, she used more colorful language than that, but that she was coming for me. And, it's the kind of thing you don't think about till you're in that moment. And before I knew it, my body was walking towards her. Like I was going, okay, come on, let's go, which is dumb, right? Because I'm not a brawler. I'm not somebody that would go looking for a fight. But that the fight or flight thing kicked in, and my first reaction was to protect the kid. That was the initial reaction. And it ended up being a big enough, commotion that it got the management there, and they called the cops, and then the kid mom came and got it. It was the grandmother that had the kid. But no, I never would have guessed. If somebody would have said, fight or flight, I would say probably I'm more likely to be quiet and move back. But that was one situation where my body did it before thinking. Like I was in motion when I went, wait, hold on, what are you doing? No, that's a bad idea. So, yeah, people are different. But I will really and truly, I think somehow that Dylan got in that room and she made herself what she thought was safe, and then she was quiet. She was hiding.
Well, the smell must have been like really wretched.
Absolutely. Yes.
And it's not only the blood, it's, the
correct.
Because the first thing that people do when they die, the shit goes out. Right? And then you have the all the green, because I did a couple of saved some people's lives in my and I was actually trying to give a friend of mine CPR. And he went. What happened was he was taking a shower, long day, and it was like the first hot day in May. First, he's the bulldozer operator, and he came home. His son, like he was a big joker. He's my neighbor. He's always a big joker, and so his young child, I think he was 9 or 10. His son came over. Dave, he's like, "Hey, come on over. Dave, my father fell in the tub." Right? I'm like, I was loading equipment onto my trailer. I'm like, okay, I went right off the Bobcat skid steer. And I ran over there. I'm like, I hope this isn't a joke. Right?
Yeah.
Well, it was no joke. He was face down in the tub. He was like 7 feet tall.
Wow.
So I picked him out of the tub. I dragged him out. I didn't pick him up. I dragged him out. Put him on his back. Started CPR. I was just getting green and yellow.
Yeah. Yeah.
In my mouth.
Yeah.
Until the paramedics got there. But wife was literally bouncing off the wall. That's how upset it was. One of the neighbors had like a controller while I did CPR because he was dead.
Panic. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a panic, and that stayed me with. Every time I go up north, I go past the cemetery. This cemetery plot is the only one that has like a heart, pink heart on it, like a mauve heart, and I spot it every time, and I give them the hey, Tommy.
Yeah.
Something you'll never forget in your life. So I feel bad for Dylan. Respect. That saw the guy. I feel bad for Bethany because, she's probably saying, "Oh my gosh, I wish I was away." I mean,
right.
We could have done something, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I feel bad for you. You'll never lose that.
That's right.
You live with it. It's just like losing a child. You'll never get.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's I think of all that happened with this case, I think the finger pointing at Bethany and Dylan, it's going to be people. It's one of those things. For me, it's one of those things that kind of carries a lesson. If people really care about what they're doing and they don't want to create harm with their channel or their just conversations, I think that when you finally hear Dylan's testimony, I think when the trial starts and you really find out what she experienced,
right?
I think they're going to realize that they were way off base, And we don't all, we're not cookie cutters of each other. Everybody's different, and it's our history, all of the experiences that we've previously had that can prepare us for how we will react in a moment, right? So like when I was growing up, I grew up on the back of a horse. I wasn't like this, cutie little girl who was afraid to get dirty. I was rough and tumble and physical. And because of that, I was very comfortable to react aggressively if I needed to, because I trusted my body. But if you have people that have never really been physical, everything they've ever done has been in front of a computer. Maybe they've never had to manhandle something with strength, then they would be much less likely to respond overtly aggressive and more likely to try to hide and be unseen. So there's a lot. That's just one example. We know that, kids that are raised in a way that they're a part of organized sports, those kids are much more likely to respond in a tragedy, like if you run across, like you said, if you have a friend that has a heart attack or falls, those people that say they have a history of being in organized sports, they're much more likely to, jump out on the side of that mountain and grab their friend to try to pull them to safety.
Right.
Because they know what their body feels like when they're working with it, as opposed to people that have not done that kind of thing. They've always been kind of sedentary and they don't really know what the full capability of their body is. Right. So lots of different ways. If you grow up in an environment with a parent who is very punitive and is aggressive, then you're less likely to be proactive in a survival situation. It's almost like you require someone to tell you what to do. But if you've grown up in a home where your parents were assertive and they've sort of, given you the opportunity to say, this is what I think we should do, and then, okay, well, let's try it, then those people are much more likely to be assertive and act first. So there's so many different factors that would influence the way that Bethany Dylan would respond face to face. That guy, there's that initial fight or flight, fawn or faint, or flop. There's that initial reaction that's a biological. It's related to blood pressure and adrenaline and whatnot. But then once she's either safe or she's in a brawl, then other factors are gonna kick in. So people that are saying, no way, I don't believe it, it didn't happen, you're being way too simplistic. You don't know. If she thought that guy might come back, if she thought he was still in the house, she would have been quiet like a little mouse to try to avoid getting his attention.
Right. Now, what is your expertise in? Like, who do you deal with? Do you deal with like the public, or do you?
Yeah. So I'm a clinician. So I work with people, medical injuries.
Oh, like myself.
Maybe. Usually people that have had things that have happened, maybe they've been hospitalized for long periods of time.
Okay.
I've autism, adults with autism,
Right.
But those are my two specialty areas: the medical clinician and then the autism.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what made. I knew a woman on about 4 years.
I can't hear you cutting out.
She was in the prison.
Yes.
Yeah. And she was a very strong woman, right?
Yes.
and but she didn't take any crap.
Yeah. Well, so I did. I guess I must have done 8 months working in a prison, or either the county jail or the prison, and I was doing evaluations.
Right?
Um, yeah, not what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. But
Probably. And do psychologists have psychologists themselves or no?
do we? You're talking about for our own therapy?
Yes.
Uh, yes. I mean, there's like, how do I explain this?
Like
So,
you have a
so
friend who's a psychiatrist.
no, you. So, for example, nurses and doctors are a group of people that can develop addictions, right? Alcohol, either alcohol or drugs or whatever.
Right.
But because of their level of training and their existing knowledge base, sometimes the work that we would do with general population, in terms of substance abuse, it's not very effective because there's a different, how do I say this? It's a different, the addictions are supported by a different framework. So they I think every state, will have like a treatment center that's for their licensed medical professionals,
Right.
and that have these sorts of issues that can come to task. But if a psychiatrist, psychologist, a medical doctor, if they were wanting therapy for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
then they would want to look for a person who specialized in offering that treatment. Now, I will say this for people, for most of the counseling psychology degrees and clinical psychology PhDs, inherent in the training program is a year of therapy. And part of that is that transition into, being aware of your own biases, as well as managing the information and knowledge that you acquire as a result of your training. Do no harm is the central focus. When you're working with people, you don't want to like tell them what to think or believe. That's not what the role of the therapist or the psychologist is.
Okay.
So, yeah, I hope that answered your question. That's kind of a I guess a little bit more detailed answer than I would normally give, but yeah.
Like
But no, I don't. No, I would say no. If you're asking, does every mental health provider are they all in therapy? Absolutely not. No.
yeah, what I'm saying is like I try to go by feel, think, feel, think, act. A lot of people they admit they just like don't even think. They feel,
Yes.
and they go right to act. And that's what
Correct.
a lot of the problems in today's world is they don't think. Like I had a situation, about 2 months ago at a convenience store, parked in a handicap spot. I have a handicap place. I was in two head-on collisions. I have a lot of damage, right, including my jaw, and because I got like my the bands that keep your jaw moving,
Yeah.
they're off the post, right?
Wow.
So it's very painful.
Yeah.
So and I can't eat certain things now anymore. It knocked out my two front, my all my teeth in the front on top. The accident, torn meniscus. Like I'm really wrecked up, right?
Ouch.
So I got a handicap plates. So I have to keep on putting that thing up on the rearview mirror. So I'm sitting there for like 10 minutes. I'm waiting for a text from my mother so I can go pick her up at the cancer center, right? And the door, I saw him come in. He parked right next to me in the spot right next, and he's wailing like his mouth. He starts like, "You're an ignorant asshole. You're this. You're that."
Wow.
And I'm like, "What's that?" That's all I said. What's that? I mean, he was out of control. Like he was
Yeah.
killing his cane, right? Well, then he left. When he left, going out the driveway, like, just
Yeah.
hearing from this guy in the future. So all of a sudden, my car in reverse, all attached to me. I'm like, okay, I put the car in reverse, and I was going to go back. And I look in my rear mirror, and he's behind me, blocking.
Oh, wait. Say that again. I didn't hear that last part.
I went to reverse, put it in reverse, my car in reverse. I went to back up. He was right behind me, blocking me in,
Oh, my God.
right? So now I'm like, okay, here we go. And now my heart feels pumping that I might be guy's ass. But I wasn't feeling well that day. Got in my car. Then he left. But he was there for like, 2, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, meanwhile, he doesn't know it, but I have 360 video dash cam in my car. I had everything on tape, everything on video, right? So when we went to court, he's saying that this is how sick some people are. And I feel bad for the guy. He said to the prosecutor that that's his spot. That when he goes to that store, he wants.
Wow. Yeah, he's got some problems.
Told prosecutor, all the I'm sorry, won't happen again. That's all I would have dropped, right? But he started going off again to the saying he is like, like he's stuck up, or he's like, that's his spot,
Yeah. Yeah.
this and that. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to continue with the complaint. I'm not getting any money out of it. The town does, right? Harassment complaint. But that's all he had to do is say to me, hey, I'm sorry, right? That's all he had to do. But he continued. So here's that perfect scenario, perfect example of feel, think, act, right? He didn't think.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know why people don't do that a lot, even if people on YouTube. You know, you have to like think before you say stuff. Other people,
Sure.
like
Sure.
keyboard warriors. If it
Yeah.
was like people act so differently. I don't know if you ever met anyone online, dating site or like that. People are so different from what they are on online.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you would never do things that they do. Person does online, like in a chat room. That's why I said originally. I think this is uh, like a Yahoo chat, years ago. It's
Yeah.
it's crazy, right?
It's pretty I think one of the things that really worries me about YouTube as a social media machine, because there's a clear distinction, right? There's those people that are creating channels that are like an extension of their profession. Like you have Ashley Banfield now, who's reporting on YouTube, but she was on originally on mainstream media doing exactly the same thing, right? Or there's Dr. Well, like psychologists that get up and teach lessons on different things. But then there's this other part where it's more of just like this kind of communication, Facebook, Twitter kind of community based stuff. And I think sometimes people get lulled into a false sense of security and they feel more comfortable maybe feeling like they know people because of the platform as it is. But I think ultimately you have to, keep in mind that you need to protect yourself. Don't give out, real information and, you
Don't
know,
don't go on cam.
I go, you know what? Don't go on cam is a really good one. I hate to say that to you. That's why I asked you if you were on cam. So in the beginning, I just came on this thing really trusting and just being myself, and boy, I found out there are people that will intentionally befriend you and set you up just to create this big drama. And then they love the feeding frenzy, on the drama.
Right.
And I was in complete shock. So I do go on camera, but not as freely as, in the beginning. In the beginning, I didn't really care. I don't have anything to hide. I'm a public person anyway. People are gonna know who I am. But now I'm just like, if I'm on camera, I know exactly what I'm gonna say. I'm careful, and then I end it. So, but on a day like today where we're just talking and chatting, I'm usually not on camera.
Yeah. We can't lose you, Jules. We can't. You cannot.
Oh,
You're like one of the only sane people on YouTube covering like true crime.
well, I appreciate that. There's some great creators, and then there's other creators that I just shake my head and I think, my gosh, is anybody paying attention to this?
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, they just go on to other like Grizzly, for instance, right?
I like Grizzly. I do. I think she is really, knocked it out of the park.
I think she's okay. But the thing is like you can't bring like other cases and like make examples of other cases because every case is different.
Yes.
So, when you start bringing like experts on, then they start like, oh well, you remember this case? Oh, oh, I think he was like Ted Bundy, like, right?
Yeah.
Because
if you're going to do that, you have to be prepared to explain in what way, because a lot of people don't have this wealth of historical background on these other cases, right? So like I did a video last week sometime, and I talked about the Barry Morphew situation. Here's this guy gets arrested, he spends all this time in jail, then they completely drop the charges, and there's not been any prosecution. And I use that to sort of go through the arrest affidavit. Part of the reason I did that is because everybody read the arrest affidavit. Like every channel, like I don't know how many times you can hear the same information over and over. So I was trying to do it in a way that might be a little interesting. So I did do that, but it was also sort of a cautionary tale of let's be careful, because in the case of Morphew, what was in the arrest affidavit, that's all they had. Like they didn't have anything else, which was terrible. But hopefully, like you said, in this one, I think the car was probably full of DNA, and I think this is definitely going to be different. But yeah, I get your point, and I do think that Grizzly. I think what you're seeing with Grizzly, I think you're seeing a transition in her from doing this type of social media kind of show, and now she's going to be going more into like a produced type of show, more like a Scott Reich type of thing.
Right.
And there may be some people don't like that, feel like they lose that, kind of personal friendly connection to her, but I don't know, so many different ways of doing it. I got to tell you, more than once I have wanted to throw my hands up and be done with it, because there are some difficult children on this platform. Big ups.
I get it. Yeah.
So, but there's also a lot of really wonderful people, and I have a good time, and
I mean, you can't just you can't let a couple people spoil the broth, right?
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
So you probably don't make a lot of money from it. I watch Emily D. Baker. Oh my gosh,
I love Emily.
She must make like 100,000, 150,000 a shot, on a big case, right?
Yeah, she's doing. Yeah, she's great. Absolutely. Yeah, and some of these channels. I mean, I have a regular paycheck from this. I think it would surprise people. I don't get a lot of super chats like some of these channels do. But the AdSense money and the channel members, it's a little bit of a paycheck. I mean, it justifies the time that I spend like researching and preparing. But there's a lot of people like 10 to Life, they're making a lot of money. Of money. Yeah.
Well, where there's ears, there's money, right? So, they have eyes and ears. and that's they try to get subs, right?
Right. Which is where you get these people that have this audacious behavior, all of this drama and the kind of inappropriate type of content, or it's all about the moment. It's all about attracting the eyes and the ears in the moment, as opposed to someone who's thinking, no, I'm building a reputation here, and so anything I put out, it may not get a lot of views, but as long as it reflects well upon my knowledge base and my level of professionalism, then I'm comfortable with it.
Right.
So those are just two different approaches. I do think that drama definitely grows a channel faster, but then what ends up happening is when you try to move away from the drama, because it's exhausting, right? You try to move away from the drama and just offer just normal, regular content, then the view go down, because that's not what they're there for. They're there to see the screaming and yelling and cussing.
Yeah, they're there for drama, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
They love people fighting amongst them.
Yep.
That's what they're there for,
Yep, absolutely.
It makes them feel like, maybe they're not that crazy. You know what I mean? Like
maybe. I don't know. But I've done it. I've hate watched, but I get tired. I get weary very quickly. It's not something that I may pop over and look and go, wow, that's kind of nuts. But then I'm done. But so I watch Grizzly all the time. I watch Emily Baker when there's trials. The Lawyer, is a big one that I watch. Peter Tragus. 10 to Life is one of my favorites. Scott Reich. So I got a wide variety of people that I like, a lot of different platforms,
Right.
So.
Is there a lot of chat? I can't even see the chat. Let me look at the chat.
Okay, people. Well, I have somebody yelling, there's fried fish in here. So I think it's time. It's time for me to go get my weekly fried catfish.
Well, thank you for the chat.
I appreciate you so much, Big Ups. I hope you'll come back up again.
I will.
Very good. Absolutely. I appreciate it. And I'll see you another day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay, that was awesome, wasn't it? Everybody say thank you, Big Ups. He's a good friend to the channel. He's always here. He's got great comments and lots of fun. He comes up with great information research-wise, and he's a good friend. So everybody say thank you, Big Ups. Hey, Rousey. Yeah, got fried fish. Everybody thank Piddle and Bill. Hey, Shalimar, at the art community, there's no drama in the art community. I've always loved the true crime. Thanks, Big Ups. Need communication. Yeah, it was cutting in and out, Big Ups. I'm not sure if maybe your hand was over the mic or. Hey, D. Yes, I know. I'm ready for fried fish. Yeah. All right. So Big Ups got all the love. Very good. Thank you. I really do appreciate it, Big Ups. I hope you will come back up. All right, peeps. I am going to get my fish dinner, and y'all have a wonderful afternoon, and I will see you guys in a little while. All right. And I do hope that you'll give some thought to this, notion of whether it would make sense for a woman to dox her own daughter in relation to a quadruple murder. It just doesn't seem to fit, for me. So please, if you will, subscribe and hit the bell. And if you care about the algorithm, I need a thumbs up. I'll be forever in your debt.